Look, imagine this. It's 4000 BCE. No Wi-Fi, no electricity, no Deliveroo, just mud, rivers, and a suspicious amount of mosquitoes.
Honestly, sounds like a camping holiday that went horribly wrong.
But here's the weird part. One minute humans are basically hunter-gatherers, and then suddenly, boom, cities, writing, mathematics, law, astronomy, beer, bureaucracy.
Ah, yes, the true pillars of civilization lager and paperwork.
Exactly, and it happens in one place, southern Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers, the birthplace of everything.
Including, apparently, the world's first middle managers.
And if that wasn't strange enough, these people claimed they didn't do it alone. They said knowledge came from the sky.
Right, because of course it did.
They said powerful beings descended from above, taught them science, engineering, taught them how to build a civilization.
Or they were just very clever humans.
Maybe, but then why do their myths talk about genetic experiments, floods that wiped out humanity, gods who needed workers, divine surveillance, the hierarchy of beings ruling from the heavens?
You've just described my last corporate job.
And here's why it gets even stranger. Thousands of years later, powerful elites, secret societies, and religious institutions still obsess over these ancient stories.
Because nothing screams stability like worshipping Bronze Age drama.
And what if those stories didn't end in the ancient world? What if they evolved? What if they were rewritten, hidden, removed from history?
You're saying the biggest mystery isn't just what happened back then.
Is what we were told to forget.
Brilliant. So today we're upsetting historians, archaeologists, mum.
Today, in Mindzilla, we are diving into Ancient Sumeria, the first civilization, the first gods, and the first conspiracies.
And the first time humans looked up at the sky and thought, something is watching us.
So buckle up, because this is where the rabbit hole begins. Hello, beautiful weirdos. Welcome back to Mindzilla, the podcast where we dive into history, conspiracies, the paranormal, and occasionally Luke's unresolved trust issues.
They're not unresolved, I just don't trust anyone.
We are your hosts. I'm Jess.
And I'm Luke, and together we are exhausted and dangerously curious.
And today we are going back, way back, to the place where everything we know basically started.
Ancient Sumeria, the first real civilization, the original blueprint for cities, governments, and unfortunately, taxes.
Before we get into the aliens, sky gods, and gold mining conspiracy madness, we need to earn your trust.
Yes, we're starting with actual history. Brace yourselves.
So picture southern Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq. Hot, flat, marshy, flood prone. Honestly, not the dream holiday destination.
It's basically a giant mud soup between two rivers.
And these rivers were both a blessing and a nightmare. They brought fertile soil, but also unpredictable flooding that could wipe out entire settlements.
So, instead of moving somewhere nicer, the Sumerians said, let's stay and fight the river.
Which is the most human thing ever. We see chaos and immediately try to control it. The Sumerians didn't just survive, they engineered their environment. They built canals, reservoirs. They also redirected water like ancient civil engineers.
This is the part that blows my mind. These weren't small villages, these were organized, planned urban centers.
Roads, districts, housing zones, storage systems, public buildings, and religious complexes.
which means logistics. Massive logistics.
Exactly. You don't build cities without supply chains.
You need food production, transportation, labor coordination, resource tracking.
Basically, ancient project managers.
The world's first people saying, as per my last clay tablet,
And then something insane happens. Around 3500 BCE, cities explode in size. The biggest, Uruk.
Uruk might have had up to 80,000 people, at a time when most humans were still living in small tribal groups.
That's not a village, that's a mega city.
And with megacities comes problems, crime, trade disputes, housing shortages, and someone always parking their donkey in the wrong place.
And this leads to governments, laws, administration.
Ah, yes, bureaucracy.
Here's the wild part. The Sumerians created systems that look weirdly modern.
They had contracts, salaries, labor tracking, debt, and interest,
They even paid workers in beer rations.
which honestly sounds better than my job.
Temples and palaces function like giant corporations.
Centralized power, resource control, workforce management.
This is proto-capitalism, thousands of years before Wall Street.
Imagine ancient office culture.
Middle managers walking around like, we need this canal finished by Q3.
Let's circle back after the flood.
First, tax evasion. I swear those goats just wandered off.
First burnout. I can't do another 12-hour shift building temples for gods who never replied to emails.
Ancient LinkedIn. Thrilled to announce I've been promoted to senior scribe at Uruk. But on a serious note, though, the Sumerians weren't isolated. They traded across vast distances.
They imported metals, stone, and luxury goods from Anatolia, the Indus Valley, and beyond.
Which means international trade networks existed 5,000 years ago.
If trade existed, competition existed. If competition existed, then politics existed. And if politics existed, corruption existed. Nothing changes.
Now here's where it starts getting spooky. The Sumerians were obsessed with the sky.
They tracked celestial bodies, created lunar calendars, and developed early astronomy.
Which help them predict seasons, floods, and agricultural cycles.
But also religion, because when you don't understand the universe, the sky feels alive.
And from this world comes one of the greatest stories ever written, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
The original blockbuster with friendship, monsters, gods, existential dread, and a global flood. It's ancient, emotional, and honestly, still relatable. It proves something important.
Here's my honest question. If humans built all this, if they engineered cities, invented writing, tracked stars, and organized massive societies, how did they do it so fast? How did we go from hunter-gatherers to skyscraper builders in just a few thousand years?
Alright, so we've established something important. The Sumerians were real. They were brilliant.
They engineered, traded, built, and organized at a level that honestly still impresses modern historians.
Yes, no aliens required, just humans being annoyingly capable.
But here is where it gets weird, because Sumeria isn't the only place this sudden leap happens.
Right, around the same general period in human history, you see similar explosions of culture, complexity, and innovation popping up all over the world.
For example, ancient Egypt, the Indus Valley, early China, and Mesoamerica later on. Different continents, different environments, but the same basic pattern. Cities, writing, agriculture, astronomy, social hierarchies.
It's like humanity hit fast forward.
Some researchers call this the cognitive revolution, the idea that something changed in the human brain.
For this period, humans were intelligent, but then suddenly we start thinking symbolically, planning long term, and building complex societies.
Languages explode, religions become structured, myths become detailed and sophisticated,
We go from surviving to shaping the world.
which raises a question: what triggered it?
One mainstream explanation is environmental stress. The end of the last ice age created instability.
Climate changes, shifting resources, flooding, and droughts.
Humans had to adapt or die, so innovation becomes survival. And when survival is on the line, the brain gets creative.
Another idea is population pressure.
More people means more competition, and more complexity.
You need systems, rules, and organization.
Basically, the ancient version of rush hour traffic.
Then there is the neurological angle. Some scientists think our brains literally rewired during this period.
Changes in diet, social interaction, and language.
The human brain thrives on complexity. The more social and cultural pressure, the more it evolves.
So, civilization may have shaped the brain as much as the brain shapes civilization.
And now we enter the fun zone, because some researchers think altered states of consciousness played a huge role.
Of course they do.
Psychedelics, ritual trance, meditation, and fasting.
You're saying early humans might have been experimenting.
I'm saying when you're living in the marshlands, eating fermented grains, and staring at the stars all night, things happen.
This explains a lot.
Altered states could have sparked creativity, symbolic thinking, and spiritual systems.
Which then became organized religion.
Picture this: ancient Burning Man, thousands of people in the desert, drums, fire, strange outfits, and no deodorant, shamans dancing, entering trance, claiming to meet beings from other realms.
And then coming back with spreadsheets.
Exactly. Guys, I've spoken to the gods. They want irrigation canals and quarterly reports. Or, this flood was avoidable. We need better resource allocation. There's also the idea that ritual itself shaped society.
Shared belief systems create unity, cooperation, trust. Religion may have been the original operating system for large scale societies, which is still true today.
But here's the question that keeps conspiracy theorists awake at night. What if all this wasn't random? What if the timing wasn't a coincidence?
You're about to suggest something ridiculous, aren't you?
What if humanity didn't just evolve into civilization? What if we were nudged?
By who?
Or by what? Because when you look at the sudden leap in knowledge, the parallel developments, the obsession with sky beings, it almost feels coordinated.
Or is just human intelligence finally reaching a tipping point?
Maybe. Or was this the beginning of something much bigger?
Please don't say it.
Or was this a controlled experiment? Alright, we've talked about canals, trade, bureaucracy, beer, and now let's talk about the beings the Sumerians believed were behind all this. Not cute angels with harps, not fluffy cloud grandpas. These gods feel different.
Yes, less guardian angel, more upper management.
And what's strange is, when you read these myths, the gods don't feel symbolic in a simple way. They feel almost alien.
Careful.
Not green man in spaceship alien. I mean emotionally alien. Morally alien. Operating on a completely different level of logic. Let's meet them. Enlil, Enki, Inanna. These weren't side characters. They were cosmic authority.
Enlil was basically the executive in charge of the atmosphere, storms, wind, and authority.
Enki was the god of water, wisdom, and creation.
And Inanna, goddess of love, war, fertility, political power, absolute force of nature.
What's fascinating is how hierarchical all this feels. There's a council, There are decisions, votes, punishments, control.
It's not chaos, it's administration.
Exactly, a celestial government. In several creation myths, humans are created because the gods are tired.
That's not even subtle.
The lesser gods are complaining about labor. Too much work, too much effort. So humans are created to carry the burden,
We were outsourced.
outsourced by Evan. Let that sink in. The earliest written myths we have describe humanity as a workforce, created to serve, to maintain order, to provide offerings.
Which is either deeply metaphorical or wildly uncomfortable.
And then there is the surveillance aspect. The gods watch constantly, they observe behavior, they respond to noise, they punish disobedience.
There are stories where humans became too loud, too numerous, too destructive. So the gods decided to reduce the population.
Through famine, plague, and floods.
That escalated quickly.
In one flood narrative, humanity is wiped out because the gods are annoyed. Annoyed, right?
Imagine being erased because upper management can't sleep.
And one god, Enki, secretly warns a human to build a boat.
Ah, yes, corporate whistleblower energy.
Let's be honest, Enlil gives off strong toxic manager vibes.
Absolutely. Who approved this many humans? This is not scalable.
We need a reset, we need a flood.
Schedule it for Q4.
Meanwhile, Enki in the background, like, maybe don't drown everyone.
Enki is the rebellious hacker of the Pantheon, leaking survival instructions to humanity.
Here's the part where people don't talk about enough. These gods are advanced. They manipulate biology, shape environments, design systems, enforce moral codes, and feel technologically superior.
But framed through mythology.
Exactly, and here is where it becomes unsettling. Across ancient cultures, not just Sumeria, sky beings are described as powerful, emotionally volatile, possessing advanced knowledge, interfering in human affairs.
And often treating humans like assets.
Now let's bring this forward. What if these gods aren't just supernatural characters? What if they're symbolic of how humans experience power?
Distant, unaccountable, punitive, all-seeing.
Sound familiar?
Governments, corporations, surveillance systems.
Today we live under algorithms that watch us, data systems that predict behavior, AI that learns from us,
And most people don't understand how these systems actually work.
which is exactly how ancient people experience their gods. Think about this. If you explain artificial intelligence to someone 5,000 years ago, it sees you, it hears you, it knows your preferences, it influences your behavior, it exists in the sky in invisible networks.
That sounds disturbingly godlike.
And now reverse it. What if ancient descriptions of gods were humanity's way of interpreting encounters with something more advanced?
Or what if it's just how human conceptualizes authority when they don't understand complex systems?
Here's another layer. Religion creates obedience, shared belief, and collective identity.
Which stabilizes large populations.
So, are the gods divine beings, archetypes, political tools, or psychological projections?
Or a mix of all three.
Because here's the thing, when you read these texts, the gods don't feel primitive. They feel organized, intentional, and strategic.
And occasionally ruthless.
So the question becomes, why do so many ancient cultures describe gods as advanced, emotional, and technologically superior? Is this a coincidence, psychology, shared human imagination, or something that left a deeper imprint in early civilization?
And if they did leave an imprint, what exactly were they prepping us for?
Let's talk about the flood, because this is where things stop being local and start feeling global.
Yes, the moment every ancient culture suddenly agrees on one thing. At some point, something catastrophic happened.
And the Sumerians weren't subtle about it. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's a story of a great flood sent by the gods to wipe out humanity.
And this predates the biblical Noah story by centuries.
But here's the strange part: flood myths exist all over the world. Different continents, different cultures, same core structure.
A warning, a catastrophe, a small group of survivors, and a reset.
Now, mainstream science does agree on one thing. The end of the last ice age was chaotic. Rapid climate change, melting glaciers, unstable weather.
And massive flooding,
Coastal regions would have been devastated, entire settlements erased, generations wiped out.
which means oral memory of disaster could easily spread and survive in myth.
Then we have the Younger Dryas, a mysterious period around 12,800 years ago where the planet suddenly cooled again.
Some scientists believe it was triggered by a comet impact or cosmic debris,
Others argue it caused massive environmental disruption, fires, flooding, ecosystem collapse,
but is still debated. There's no full consensus.
which is where things get interesting, because if a global disaster did occur, it could have destroyed advanced or semi advanced coastal societies. When the Ice Age ended, the sea levels rose dramatically, hundreds of feet, slow in geological terms, but devastating in human terms,
Most early human settlements were near coastlines, fishing, trade, transportation.
which means many ancient sites are now underwater, literally gone. And this opens the door to a controversial idea. What if Sumeria wasn't the first civilization? What if it was simply the first one that survived?
Now that's a disturbing thought.
Imagine generations of knowledge wiped out, libraries gone, cities erased, technologies forgotten.
Leaving only fragments and trauma encoded in myth.
Which brings us to Atlantis, the lost civilization described by Plato. A powerful society destroyed in a catastrophe. Mainstream scholars think it's allegory, but some researchers suggest it could be a distorted memory of real events.
Or multiple events.
And not just Atlantis. Flood myths exist in Mesopotamia, India, China, and the Americas.
It's like humanity shares a collective memory of disaster.
Now we step into the conspiracy territory. The global reset theory. The idea that civilization rises, then falls, then rises again, over and over.
Cycles of development and collapse. Knowledge gained, then lost, which could explain sudden cultural jumps if survivors carry fragments forward.
But here's where things get uncomfortable. Some theorists believe these resets weren't entirely natural.
Here we go.
What if catastrophic events were controlled, triggered, or at least allowed?
By who?
If powerful beings existed, whether divine, extraterrestrial, or advanced groups of humans, controlling population and knowledge would maintain order.
You're basically describing a cosmic version of hitting reset.
Humanity has become inefficient. Please reboot.
System update required. Flood incoming. New patch agricultural 2.0. Bug fixes include fewer loud humans.
But even without the conspiracies, the idea of ancient disasters is real. The world has changed dramatically. Entire coastlines have vanished. Cultures have disappeared.
Which means history may be far less complete than we think.
And myths might be more than stories. They may be warnings. So here's a new question. If ancient floods were memories of real catastrophes, and if civilizations have risen and fallen before, what if the Sumerians weren't the beginning, but the survivors?
And what if the next reset isn't ancient history?
And the most unsettling possibility of all, what if floods weren't natural, but controlled?
Alright, up until now we've been walking in a careful line. History, archaeology, climate, myth.
Yes, we've been respectable, mature, and well balanced.
Which is why it's time to absolutely ruin that.
Because now we meet the man who took ancient Sumeria and launched it straight into the outer space. In the 1970s, a writer named Zachariah Sitchin published a series of books claiming something extraordinary.
And controversial.
He said the Sumerian texts were misunderstood, not myths, not metaphors, but historical records
Records of contact.
with extraterrestrials. According to Sitchin, these beings came from a planet called Nibiru, a mysterious celestial body with a long elliptical orbit that supposedly passed through our solar system.
Which has never been observed, detected, or confirmed by astronomers.
Small detail. He claimed the Anunnaki weren't gods. They were advanced alien visitors, technologically superior, genetically capable, strategic.
And deeply invested in Earth.
Why did they come, you might ask? And the answer is gold, specifically mining gold to repair their planet's atmosphere.
Because apparently interstellar travel is easy, but fixing your own environment is not.
Exactly. So the Anunnaki needed workers, and this is where it gets wild. Sitchin suggested they genetically modified early humans, combining their DNA with hominids, creating a hybrid species.
Which, in his interpretation, explains the sudden leap in human intelligence.
We weren't evolving, we were upgraded. Some fringe believers go further. They suggest different groups of humans may have different genetic input, elite bloodlines, hidden ancestry, ancient hybrid rulers.
Which is where the conspiracy rabbit hole becomes a full underground subway system.
Imagine the HR onboarding process. Welcome to Earth. Your role is human labor.
Please complete your mandatory gold mining training module.
Benefits include food, reproduction, and occasional divine smiting.
Performance review, you have failed to meet pyramid quotas. We will be scheduling a flood to restructure the workforce.
Now, here's the key. The main reason why did this theory explode in popularity was because it didn't just explain ancient history. It explained everything. Human origins, religion, power, and control.
It gave people a narrative, a grand conspiracy, and a hidden truth.
And it arrived at the perfect moment, the 1970s, where was the Cold War paranoia, distrust of government, fear of nuclear annihilation, secret experiments, and hidden technologies.
People already believed powerful institutions were lying.
So when someone said history has been manipulated, the world was ready.
But here's the reality check. Most archaeologists and linguists strongly reject Sitchin's translations. They argue he misunderstood or altered Sumerian texts.
There are no credible archaeological evidence of alien mining operations. No advanced technology remains. No physical proof.
And the word Nibiru in actual ancient text does not match his interpretation.
And yet, the theory refused to go away. It spread through books, documentaries, online communities, and pop culture. Shows like Ancient Aliens turned it into a global phenomenon.
Because the idea is irresistible. It's cinematic, epic, and absolutely terrifying.
It answers big questions. Why are we here? Who's in control? Why does power feel distant and mysterious?
And it gives people a villain, or at least a puppet master.
Which can feel more comforting than randomness. But here's the twist. Even if Sitchin was wrong, he tapped into something real, humanity's deep suspicion that our past is incomplete. That something is missing.
And the more you dig into ancient history, the more gaps you find.
So the real question isn't just whether aliens engineered humanity, it's why this idea became so powerful so quickly. Why this theory gained traction in a Cold War era.
And if it resonated then, why is it even more popular now? We've reached a point in this episode where we either gain thousands of new listeners or get banned from several family WhatsApp groups.
Correct, because now we move from aliens to something even stranger, the crossover. The moment ancient Sumerian myths start colliding with biblical traditions.
And this is where things become uncomfortable.
In the Bible, there's a mysterious reference to beings called the Nephilim, described as giants, powerful, different, born from the union of heavenly beings and humans.
And that tiny reference sparked thousands of years of speculation.
Because it sounds familiar. Sky beings, human interaction, hybrid offspring.
Which lines up suspiciously well with some interpretations of Sumerian stories.
Now here's where it gets even darker. There are ancient traditions outside of the official biblical canon that expand on this idea. They describe a group of beings known as the Watchers.
Which, depend on interpretation, were angels or rebels.
They descend, they teach humanity forbidden knowledge, astronomy, metallurgy, weapon making, cosmetics, even manipulation of nature.
And crucially, they interbred with humans.
Creating hybrid offspring, powerful, violent, and corrupt.
And this is where many traditions say the flood was triggered.
Not just a reset, a purge to eliminate these hybrids.
Which, again, could be metaphorical, or mythological, or exaggerated.
Or a memory of something more complex. Now we enter the deepest rabbit hole. Some theories suggest these hybrid lineages didn't disappear. They survived, integrated, became rulers, kings, priests, and elites.
Right. This is where the internet becomes a very strange place.
Throughout history, royal families claimed divine ancestry. Egyptian pharaohs, European monarchies, ancient dynasties.
Which could simply be propaganda, power legitimized through myth.
But conspiracists say something else. Continuity. Ancient power structures preserved across generations. And this is where the secret society theories come in. Groups preserving ancient knowledge, symbols, rituals, initiations.
Often accused of maintaining hidden influence.
Whether that's true or not, the symbolism is real. Eyes, pyramids, stars, serpents, ancient motifs repeating in modern institutions. Many esoteric traditions refer to hidden wisdom passed down through time. Mystery schools, hermetic teachings, occult philosophy,
Which, again, may simply be humans trying to understand reality.
or preserving ancient psychological frameworks.
Let's pause. There is zero scientific evidence for hybrid bloodlines, no proof of supernatural genetics, no confirmed secret ruling species,
Absolutely. And many of these theories are built on mistranslations, speculation, and creative interpretation.
but they persist, which tells us something important.
These stories tap into deep human fears that power is hidden, that elites are different, and that the world is controlled.
It's psychologically powerful because it turns chaos into structure.
But here's the part that keeps this alive the similarities across cultures sky beings, forbidden knowledge, hybrid offspring, and flood resets.
It's either coincidence, shared psychology, or shared memory.
Me being me, I don't want to throw the aliens off the table. And next week, we're going to dive deep into one of the most controversial ancient texts ever discovered. A book so strange, so detailed, and so unsettling, it was removed from the biblical canon.
And yet it survived, hidden, preserved, studied, feared.
Because it expands this story in ways most people have never heard. It describes the Watchers in terrifying details their rebellion, their teachings, their punishment, what they did to humanity.
So, if you think today's episode is intense, you are not ready for what's coming.
Because next week we open the Book of Enoch.
Before we go any deeper into next week's spoiler, I need to say something. The more we've researched Ancient Sumeria, the more impressed I've become. Because whether you believe in aliens or not, what these people achieved is unbelievable. We're talking about the first cities, the first large scale agriculture, complex irrigation systems, mathematics, law codes, bureaucracy, thousands of years ago.
And yet, you still think they just woke up one day and invented civilization between breakfast and lunch.
No, I think humans are capable of incredible leaps when conditions align. But what amazes me is the system. This wasn't chaos, it was organized. They planned cities, they tracked crops, they developed trade routes and crossed entire regions. This wasn't primitive, it was sophisticated.
And that's exactly why people don't let this go, because it feels too sophisticated, too sudden, too engineered. We looked at this explosion of knowledge and think, where did that come from?
Or maybe we underestimate ancient people because we assume progress is linear. But history shows bursts, moments where innovation accelerates.
Here's the thing though, people hate randomness. They want intention, they want design, and Sumeria looks designed. Cities appearing, writing systems emerging, astronomy, mathematics, all within a relatively short window.
But relatively short in archaeology can still mean centuries, which is slow on a human scale.
Or something gave them a push. Let's be honest, because the Sumerian texts themselves talk about beings who came from the sky. They describe powerful entities who shaped humanity, and according to some interpretations, used humans as labor, specifically for mining gold.
Here we go. We already went there, Jess.
No, seriously, this theory didn't just appear on the internet last Tuesday.
No, it didn't. And whether you agree or not, that idea sticks because it answers a lot of emotional questions. Why civilization began, why hierarchies formed, why labor systems exist.
And why power always seems to sit with a small group. Ancient kings claiming divine authority? Sounds familiar. The modern media takes these ideas and runs with them. Shows like Ancient Aliens turn ancient Mesopotamian imagery into something cosmic.
And it's compelling because the Sumerians themselves wrote about gods who controlled floods, knowledge, and destiny. That's dramatic material. But here's the rational perspective. Every civilization creates powerful beings to explain forces they don't understand storms, disease, death.
Sure, but the Sumerian gods behave less like nature and more like administrators. They argue, they plan, they make decisions about humanity. That's weird. And the gold theory is popular because gold has been important across cultures. It's tied to wealth, power, technology, and symbolism. So when people hear that ancient beings wanted it, it connects dots, whether those dots are real or not.
Or it's just projection. Modern obsession mapped onto ancient stories. Here's where I land. Ancient Sumeria doesn't need aliens to be extraordinary. Human ingenuity, cooperation, and survival pressures are enough. And honestly, that's more inspiring because it means we're capable of building incredible systems without outside help.
Or we were never alone to begin with, and maybe these theories weren't myths. Maybe they were just memories, because when you start connecting Sumerian texts with later traditions, biblical narratives, falling beings, ancient hybrid stories, the pattern gets harder to ignore.
And that is where we're heading next. If you think the Sumerians were wild, wait until you see what we have in store for you next week. We're diving into a book that some people believe is the missing link between ancient Mesopotamia and the Bible. A book that was once wildly read, respected, quoted, and then quietly removed.
We're talking about the Book of Enoch. Fallen angels, hybrid beings, forbidden knowledge, cosmic rebellion, and stories that sound disturbingly similar to what we just explored in Sumerian mythology. If you thought the Anunnaki were intense, you haven't met the Watchers yet.
This episode is going to get wild, even for us.
And that's saying something. Now, if you want more Mindzilla in your life, and honestly, why wouldn't you? We got a whole secret bunker of content waiting for you over on Patreon.
Tier 1 is My Therapy Fund. For just £1 a month, you help me process the emotional damage Jess causes every week. No perks, just my moral support. And honestly, I need it.
Tier 2, the tinfoil hat tier, gets you access to our Conspiracies Around the World series. And right now, part 2 of Spain is out. Secret societies, hidden histories, and some genuinely disturbing rabbit holes we didn't expect to find.
And tier 3, the Geiger counters. Gets everything from the lower tiers plus brand new darker episodes, including our latest deep dive into ancient medicine that is still used in modern healthcare today, which is equal parts fascinating and slightly terrifying.
Because the more we look into the past, the more it starts to look like the present, and sometimes the future.
So, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, rate, and share the podcast. It really helps more people find us, and it keeps Jess busy researching instead of turning our living room into a conspiracy corkboard.
It's not a corkboard, it's a command center.
We'll see you next week.
Stay curious and stay weird.
Bye.
Bye!